This is Thunder in the Spirit of Thunder. I thought I'd talk about gurus and masters and teachers and yogis and holy men. And I've talked about this before, but sometimes I feel the need to talk about it again. Um, so, what is a guru? Well, that word is a Hindu word which means spiritual teacher, or a master of a certain area. And I've always pursued, personally, masters of energy because I feel like energy is the whole ball of wax, it's everything. And if you know about energy and if you know about moving the energy in specific areas and opening up certain areas, then that's the way you receive. Okay, that's the way you receive and that's the way you transmit, just like a radio. And there's all kinds of masters in all kinds of different areas. But like I said, I tend to gravitate towards energy masters. And you can find that when you use the term energy, there's all kinds of energies, but there's the supreme energy, which is the energy of the Creator, okay? And having union with the Creator, or yoga with the Creator. And when you have that, then you are talking to the Creator, just as the Hopis said you could do, and many other, the Hindus, the Hopis, anybody that's awake and into tradition, that kind of tradition. So let's take, for example, Chen Manqing, who was the master of Yang style Tai Chi. Well, what's Tai Chi all about? Well, Tai Chi is about movement of energy, movement of Chi. In the Hindu, it's called prana. It's all the same thing, okay? And when you tap into this specific energy, and I could say energies because it's a twin coil of yin and yang energies, okay? Male, female, because it goes beyond, but it doesn't. It takes into consideration the yin and yang, but it also blends the yin and yang energies. So that's why sometimes you see masters shapeshift and they exhibit one energy more than another at a certain time when they're getting into, let's say, Shakti or Shiva energy. Some people hear the word guru or even medicine man or master, and they don't realize, they always look at it as something that's out of their reach. Well, it isn't. That's why a master is there, to teach you how to put it within your reach. And a master may do other things too. Now, when I think about masters, they come in all races. Crazy Horse was a master, and he was a guru, a teacher, leading by example and leading by energy and teaching by energy. Now, in the Hindu tradition, they attach the word G, okay. I guess you would call that a suffix. I'm not so sure. Maybe I ought to consult a master of English. But anyway, um, when you attach G to like a person's name, then it shows supreme respect for that person. It's an indicator that that person is being respected in the highest degree. So when you think about Crazy Horse's first name, GG, that kind of makes you sit up and take notice. It should. GG, double GG, which means double respect, okay, in all areas for what that master had to impart. Now, it's all about energy, like I said before. And there's masters of, like, you might call somebody a guru, the guru of computers, or the guru of radios, or the guru of some other thing, hobby or science or whatever, the guru of that area. That means they know a lot about, they know probably more than a lot of other people do. So when you get into the science of like Kriya, movement of energy, or Chi, and the circulation of the microcosmic orbit, the science, the spiritual science of Kundalini yoga, the spiritual science of energy, the spiritual science of going directly within and opening up all the energy channels, the chakras. The crown chakra being open is how you communicate with the Creator. You become one with the Creator. And so a lot of people pray, okay, a lot of people ask for things from God, but yet they have no concept of who God really is. And masters like Babaji and Yeshua, Jesus, and Buddha, and Crazy Horse, and a lot of others that have walked this earth, teach us about what I'm talking about here. And they are masters of that area, and they may know a little bit more than others know. Now, are they perfect? Is a guru perfect? Is a master perfect? Well, they're perfect in the fact that they are imperfect. So, it's all a matter of how you view perfection. How do you view perfection? What is perfection? Well, it could be perfecting a technique, okay? It could be perfecting a technique. It could be that you're so into that technique that you become a master of it. You become a master of it. But that doesn't make you perfect in the sense of that we still live on the earthly plane. We are still spirits in a physical form. And so the physicality of our surroundings always affects us. And in fact, it's supposed to affect us in the sense of chewing out our sword of the spirit, or creating an edge for, or developing our ability to be a master. Now, are masters gender specific? No, not at all. You can be a male or a female and still be a master, or maybe a better word would be just a little play on words here, mistress or mastress. Or Thunder likes to joke around and have a sense of humor, and all masters have a sense of humor. And they fluctuate because they're attuned to the energy that's flowing through all things, the spirit that flows through all things. And that spirit sometimes fluctuates. It goes up and down, just like a radio wave, okay? So they're attuned to the radio wave, and so they ride the radio wave, and the frequency will go down, and then it will go up, and then it will go down, and then it will go up, just like a wave. Now, sometimes when a master attunes to somebody else's energy, it's for transmission purposes. It's for teaching. There's always a lesson there. And the lesson through the transmission usually has to do with raising the consciousness. Or sometimes maybe a master will evoke feelings in a lot of different ways. You might just break down and cry in front of a master because a certain feeling was evoked. Or you might have anger over what a master might transmit or say to you, and so that's something you should look at closely. Because anything a master does, or anything a yogi does, or anything a holy man does, if they're coming from a place of love, and they can't come from any other place except love, or they're not a true master. They're not a true master if they don't come from the heart, heartfelt love. Masters are human too. They're not just spiritual, although they may have a component that is hugely spiritual. So when they connect with other people, they have to attune their frequency to other people, to other energies, so that they can blend, okay, on that person's level or frequency. And then what happens is they're lowering their frequency, or they're adjusting their frequency, or they're shape-shifting. All great masters have done this. They have taken on different forms. Okay, that's why they're able to even create new bodies for themselves, like Yeshua did, Babaji did, or does. That goes with the territory, all this stuff I'm talking about. Ups and downs. But if you're a master, you always come back to center. You always come back to center. Even if you have to go into seclusion. And the best seclusion is meditation. And by meditation, I mean the science of moving energy within yourself and being still while you're doing it, so that you can hear what the Creator is saying. Now, I don't expect people to get everything I talk about, but if I can scratch the surface and impart whatever knowledge I have. Because see, when you come in contact with a guru or a teacher, if you learn the science, if you learn the basics, and then you go beyond the basics into the advanced, then what happens to you? When you blend with the guru, when you blend with the teacher, when you blend with the holy man, what happens to you? Well, you become a holy man. You become a teacher. You become wise in certain areas. If you're attuned to the master within yourself, to the guru within yourself, and so the master on earth that appears to you is here to teach you how to do that, is here to raise your consciousness to the level of you seeing through your master's eyes. You become your master's eyes, the third eye, the physical eye. This is what you become. Now, when you become that, you are that for a specific amount of time. Now, it might be that you're just in close proximity or you're receiving direct transmission, and you feel like that person is in your body or in your psyche or in your consciousness or in your spiritual frequency, and they are. They are. That doesn't mean that when you grasp onto it for a second and receive transmission, that that's just going to be there all the time, unless you put forth an effort. And if you put forth the effort, then that's exactly why the master is there, to teach you how to put forth the effort, to teach you a certain amount of discipline in regards to learning about the science of moving that inner chi or energy. I like to call it inner chi and energy because that's what it is. And it resides in the spinal area. That's why in meditation you have to keep your spine erect. You have to breathe in a certain way so that the energy, the science of that energy, opens up certain chakras so that you can commune with the highest energy there is. And this takes discipline. It takes a certain amount of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. I'll just be frank about it. So, I'm trying to dissolve the concept that some people have about gurus or masters or somebody that has mastered a certain form of spiritual oneness with the cosmos or oneness with Creator is somehow on a higher level as far as like they're better than you. They're not, and they don't think they are, because that would not be coming from a place of love. It wouldn't be, it wouldn't be coming from a place of love, that heart chakra, and higher consciousness. If a master thought he was better than you, then he's not a master. If a master is condescending to you, making you feel like you're not worth anything, then he's not a master. Now, masters may use teaching techniques that seem maybe harsh or seem pointed, and might, again, like I say, might bring up all kinds of emotions like anger and all kinds of things. But that's for you to look at that, to see where that's coming from. If it's coming from selflessness, in other words, realizing that there is no self, or if it comes from self-centeredness. Now, a lot of times a guru will come into your life, or a master, or a person that is proficient, let's say, has some kind of spiritual mastery. And you won't know how to deal with it because it's almost overwhelming. It's overwhelming. You might fear it. You might get angry with it. You might love it, love it, love it. Love it so much that you want to possess it. And you can possess it, but it's a different kind of possession, okay? It's master possessing you in a spiritual aspect. You can possess master. Master wants you to possess him or her within, not without, within. That's the greatest gift that you can receive from a master, is possession of their spirit within. You become them. You get what they're trying to say. You act out what they're trying to say. And I have my water today. Isn't that good? Water is the staff of life. Maybe I need a little more. A master's like water. The staff of life. So when I have a master in any field, like if it's, there's a lineage thing, okay? And what I like to do as a student and a master is learn all about what lineage I'm tapping into, and trying to reflect that lineage and pass it on. Transmission. Oral transmission, physical transmission, spiritual transmission. Sometimes I'm in low gear with that transmission. Sometimes I'm in high gear. It's like adjusting your frequency. And a master always learns from every transmission or connection with whoever comes into his sphere or her sphere. And incidentally, a true master or mistress or mastress has that male-female thing, and so they're both. So it's almost redundant to say mistress and mastress. They have both in them. If they didn't, they wouldn't have mastered or become proficient at mastering the energy, which is, again, what it's all about, mastering the energy. That energy resides in the spine. I've talked about this before, and it manifests by moving up and down the spine and opening the chakras, and that's a direct communication, or you're communing with the Creator. Because everything else outside that is like a radiant array of illusion. Okay. And some masters have talked about this. I know Yogananda talked about how the yin and yang manifests itself as a beam projecting a picture on a picture screen on a movie with moving entities and energies. But everybody is searching for that ultimate beam, where that beam's coming from. And so if you're sitting in a movie theater, you'll turn around, just an analogy here, you'll turn around and look for where that beam is coming from, because you want to see the source. And the source of that beam is pure cosmic consciousness, or Christ consciousness, or whatever you want to call it. It's the master, it's the supreme master, it's the grandfather, it's the Jade Emperor. Depending on what tradition you're coming from. People that are Christians sometimes miss the point completely about what the message of Christ or Yeshua was. They miss it completely. They twist it into a form of dogmatic mishmash, which produces fear and guilt. It should be approached, that the Master Yeshua should be approached the same way you would approach anybody that is a master, that is God realized. And so, if you're God realized, then you realize God. And God is a subjective term. But what it really means is that when you're God realized, you realize God is within you, or the creative source, or whatever you want to call it, the energy. Okay, how about the supreme energy? That's a good definition of God, the supreme mysterious energy. And the way you get to know that supreme mysterious energy is communing with it. Now sometimes people, again, they come upon somebody that can aid them, or they come upon somebody that has studied this and has disciplined themselves, and they have fear of that person because, again, it's almost overwhelming. But what they really need to do is open up to that person, because you can feel the pure energy. That's what scares you. I've had it to happen to me. But you overcome fear with love. You overcome fear with love. Just keep that in mind. And you know if you're connecting to a valuable source, and you can either turn your back on it, or you can embrace it. And if you turn your back on it, and if it's coming channeling, I call it channeling through a certain person, physical entity on this plane, if you turn your back on it, you're turning your back on a gift. Will that entity or physical entity or person that's channeling that energy to you, will they become offended? No, they won't become offended. Because that's not what love is. That energy will be channeled to you in a different way If that one way doesn't work, there's always other ways, other masters. Recognition of the master is a very important thing. It's almost a deja vu type thing. It's almost like, yeah, I know you. I've been waiting for you. A lot of people wait, but when the master shows up, they freak out, and they either think it's too good to be true, or it scares them on some level, or they question the higher maneuverings of the Creator. That's okay. That's their path. They walk the path. Their light is given to them to shine a light on what path to go, and they either advance towards that path or they hem and haw around and procrastinate about it. And why? Well, because it might bring lessons that they're not quite ready for. And they know it on a certain level, but they're really ready for it, or the master wouldn't appear. Nobody said being a master is an easy job. Nobody said that being an enlightened one is easy. In fact, it's very difficult because you're walking in a world of people or energies that can tug on you and pull on you, and if you're not centered, imbalance you, make you imbalanced. So I hope I've imparted a little bit of light on the guru, holy man, yogi, transmitter of energies. Again, they're not perfect because they have to wade around in the muck of this physical realm. And they can get pulled. But for the most part, they always keep that purpose in mind of imparting this energy, or this, because it's a calling. And when you get into a lineage, say the lineage of Babaji, or say the lineage of Crazy Horse, or say the lineage of any master, Yeshua, and you realize, you become God realized through the energy thing, like direct, I'm talking direct communication here. I'm not talking about going through a mediator, going through anybody else, going through a middleman. You're direct, baby. And that directness is a beautiful thing. Like I say again, it eliminates the middleman. And even the middleman of the person that is channeling that energy is a middleman too, in a way, but that's eliminated when you have direct transmission. So that's what you have to look for in the master. You can't look for faults. You can't look for, well, I don't know, he does this or she does that. I don't particularly think that's cool or whatever. The higher consciousness knows how to use the entity for knows how to use it for the lesson that needs to be taught. How's that? And so, yeah, that's my take on the master thing. And you have the disciple thing, which is the person is receiving the transmission. So a disciple is not like a a servant. A disciple is a person that acknowledges that they want to receive transmission. Doesn't put them on a lower level, doesn't put them on, doesn't make the person that's giving a transmission on a higher level. It just means you're opening up a disciple, a student. Just like when you study the complexities of, let's say, electronics and radios, which I'm into, doesn't make you any lesser of a person when you, let's say, obtain your first or second license. It's a license to learn. And you're always learning. Always. The master learns. Always. But there's frequencies and there's levels, and that's what makes a person a master. A teacher. You go to them because they know more, or they have become more proficient, or they have become more adept. That's where the word adept comes from. They have become more adept at channeling that energy, and so you want to learn how to do that. And so the master teaches you either through spiritual scientific exercises. It is a science, or he'll give you direct transmission. A master can do that through the eyes. And they don't just transmit to anybody. On a personal level, they may transmit through the eyes on a level of here's transmission for everybody that everybody can grasp, but there's also personal transmission, which is very special. And when you join a lineage and you become a adept, you accept that personal transmission. And that energy just comes right through you, baby, and it's a Shakti Shiva energy. It's a yin-yang. And it manifests in all kinds of ways. And it puts you through all kinds of changes. But that's just a burning off of, I won't say karma. Well, I could say karma. Maybe that's a good definition of karma, a burning off of the dross, the gross. Getting in touch with your emotions and desires and using them for the best, for a purity. I did a video on sacred and profane, how they're both sides of the same coin, and that's what I'm talking about. That desire can be used. Some people renounce desire. I don't. Desire can be used in a tantric fashion to increase consciousness. Let me mention something here too. I don't think any two yogis or medicine men or masters are alike in the sense of that. In a sense, they're alike because they're all there for the same thing. But as far as their personalities and how they choose to transmit, or how they choose to give lessons, what comes into play in that regard is what they were taught and what their personalities were and what lessons they're going through and all that kind of thing. So no two are alike, except for that higher purpose, which is transmitting energy in some manner, shape, or form. So I guess I've said enough on that subject today. I hope that I always try to channel spirit, so I hope that it's come through on some level. And so I'll just say bliss to you, because when you receive transmission, it brings bliss. And hopefully that will be true in your case. And so this is Thunder. I'm out of here. Adios.